Hi guys, welcome to this week's Warlord Wednesday. Finally have a release date for Campaign Market Garden. It's out on the 22nd of Feb, I believe. So if you've pre-ordered it, hopefully it'll come through your post box on that day. Also there's this new model, the British Airborne Cut Down Tractor. I think it's an awesome bit of kit. Really like it. You can get it just the tractor itself, or you can actually get it with a 17-pound gun. Now onto my Napoleonics. I've made a start on my French this week. I'll go to the table and have a look at them now. Okay guys, so this is the sprue for the French. Now it's made up of the 4 centre guys are standard company guys, and in the outer 2, one is a grenadier and one is a voltigier, I think they're called. And what you'll notice is the backpacks are different as well. The grenadier and the voltigier have swords. Also the plumes on the normal guys are like this, and the grenadiers and the voltigers are also larger. So just when you put them together, you just have to be aware that there is actually differences in the figures. Also, when I did the British, they assemble exactly the same as the British. You body out, stick the head on, stick the backpack on, and it's done, ready to go. But when I did that with the British, I had trouble actually painting the backs of the figures, the heads. So what I've done with the French this time is I've left the backpacks off for now. I've glued the heads on, and then the same as I did with the British, I then stuck them onto my Tungley presses, and here's some I did before. And then what I've done is I've actually sprayed these grey, only because most of the painting guides, the great coats are actually in grey anyway, so I thought I might as well start with the grey. And then what I'll do is I'll clear up these holes at a later date, and then I can glue the backpacks on. But at least as it is now, I can get to the back and paint the back of the heads and that before I put the backpacks on, because that was something that was also let me down. Now these are all normal soldiers, as you can see. The heads, small plume. Right, get the other ones here. I can show you these ones. See, these are grenadiers and voltigers. See the higher plumes? And again, you have to make sure as well, because these have like dress coats. They have, I'd say, shoulder pads, but it's not. It's like a braid on the shoulders, which a normal guys don't have. If you look at the shoulders on the normal guys, if the camera will focus, I don't know if it will. There's no actual shoulder pads on these guys, whereas on these guys, if you can see them, there's an actual shoulder pad. There. Right. So that's where I'm up to so far. So they're all pretty much together, and they're at this stage now. So what I'm going to do is pop them all off. I don't know if I showed you this last time. So you just put a little blob of super glue on them, and when it's done, you just give it a slight bend. And you hear it pop, and it just comes off like so. Dead easy. So again, give it a slight bend. Ooh. And off they come. So again, these are now going to be put onto me bottle tops. the old blue tack, and I'll start painting them. Okay guys, so that's where I'm up to with me French. With regards to the black powder rules, I've gone through all the basic rules for black powder now, and I've had a request off one of my subscribers, viewers, whatever you want to call them, called Gary, and asked if I could put all of the black powder rule parts together in one thing. So that's why this episode is quite long-winded, because what follows now is all my little bits. So there's movement, shooting, brake tests, all of it all together for your viewing pleasure. Hi guys, so we're at the table. I've just done a small setup using the 15mm miniatures because it makes life easy. Just need a smaller area to demonstrate. For this demo, the move distance on a standard move for these will be 6 centimeters, just because it's only a small area, and it's just to show you how the orders work. So I'm going to do basic order. I'll do order by battalion and brigade order. I'm not going to go into any of the special rules for individuals, just going to show you the basic order mechanic. So orders are given by your commander, and you can order each individual unit, or you could do a brigade order and all of them together. And what you have to do is, each commander has a rating. Average is 8, poor commanders are 5, good commanders are 10. So as his average commander, his rating is 8. Now what he has to do is, he can give up to 3 orders. So you can say this unit is going to advance, advance again, and then form a line. This unit is going to advance once and form a line, or this unit is going to advance and form a line again. If he gives a brigade order, then all 3 units have to be within 6 inches of each other, and you all have to do the same order. So if he orders an advance, then all 3 would have to do the same thing. So they could all advance, advance again, and then all form a line, or you could all advance once and form a line, depending. Now this is the tricky bit, because you have to state how many moves you want them to do, and then you have to roll 2 dice. Now as I said, his leadership is 8. Now before you roll, you say what you want them to do. Okay, so we're going to order them each individual at first. I'm going to do a different number of orders for each one, so just to give you an idea of the sort of random elements involved. So this first unit, I'm going to order forward twice and then form a line. So roll 2 dice and score the 6. Now his command value is 8. So on a roll of 7 or 8, they can perform 1 action. A roll of 6, they can perform 2. And a roll of 5, they'd be able to perform 3. So a roll of 6, so they can move forward twice, but there's not enough for them to form a line. So I'll move them forward twice. So I said 6 centimeters for forward. So let's move them forward 12. Okay. Okay, so next unit. Now, because I've only done that twice, we need to keep them moving, and we need to get at least one line out. So we'll do the same with them. We're going to order them forward twice and form a line. So again, roll 2 dice, and it's a 7. So that means you can only do 1. So they can just move forward 6 centimeters. Okay, now that means my last unit. Now, if it was fighting, they'd need to form a line, because when they're in attack, although they can move a bit further, they're not as good at shooting. So they need to form a line so they can bring the maximum firepower to bear. So I'm going to do forward once and then form a line, so 2 actions. So let's roll the dice again. Ah! Okay, because it's a blunder, there's a table to roll on. So what I'll do is I'll roll a d6 and I'll tell you what the result is. 5. 5. Move forward. The unit will attempt to make 1 move to its own front, making 1 move into its own front quarter as far as it can go. If an enemy unit presents itself, the unit can charge if the player wishes. If a brigade order has been attempted, each unit will move as described. So they get to move once. So again, move them forward. There. So that would be the end of the order phase. So I've moved them all back. Now this time I'm going to attempt the brigade order. So on a brigade order, the brigade commander can issue the same order to all the units in his brigade as long as they're within 6 inches of each other. That's, as I say, that's playing with 28 mil, but as I was playing 15, as long as they're within 6 centimeters of each other. So they are, without a shadow of a doubt, all within 6 centimeters. Yeah, it's 4 and 4 and a bit. Right, okay. So I'm going to attempt a brigade order. And they're all going to move forward once and then form a line. So, okay guys, so that's it for this week's Warlord Wednesday. Hope you enjoyed it.
Keep saying leadership.
It's command line is 8. So 7 or 8 you can do 1, 6 you can move and form lines. So I need 6 or less with the 2 dice. And I get a 3. Brilliant. So that means that you can all move forward. Move the centre one forward because they're all going to go the same distance anyway. So move forward once. There. And then they can go to the sides and form a line. And the same with these. I'll just show them up. Maybe it should have been a bigger gap between them, but there you go. Good job, it's a demo, isn't it? Not a real game. And you've seen a blunder, because I've done a blunder. Now, there's initiative orders, free moves, follow me orders, command bonuses, and various different things, which I'm not going to go into. Hi guys, so this week we're going to look at basic shooting. A lot of units have rules relating to them when shooting. We're not going to deal with that, we're just doing basic shooting. So, scenario is the red side moved forward, was not in range to shoot or charge the enemy. That's where they finished. The turn passed over. This side issued its orders, moved up, formed a line, and now it's going to shoot. The French have got a smoothbore musket which has a 18-inch range, but as we're using 15mm figures and I'm using distance of 10 centimeters, it's 18 centimeters. So let's measure the range, and conveniently enough, they're just in range. Now, a standard size unit, which is what this is, 24 figures, standard size, will roll 3 attack dice and need 3 or more to cause a wound. So I've got a 3, a 5 and a 2. So the 3 is ignored because it's not done anything. I've got a 3 and a 5. So that's potentially 2 casualties inflicted on the attacking unit. These have what now can do a morale save. So they then roll 2 dice and their morale value is 4+. So they need to roll 2 4+ to cancel these out. So let's roll them. And they get a 6 and a 5. Cancelled completely. So that did nothing. And that's basically that's basic shooting. The other things to remember is, if when shooting you roll a 6, you automatically disorder the unit you're shooting at. Doesn't matter if they take a casualty, they are classed as being disordered, and I'll cover that in the next episode. Hi guys, so this week we're going to look at disordered. Now there's 2 ways of being disordered. You can be disordered from shooting, which is what we're going to look at today, and you can be disordered from hand to hand. Now, to demonstrate it, how simple it is to become disordered and how detrimental it can be to your units is, this unit is going to shoot at this unit. So you fire the 3 dice and you get a 6. If you roll a 6 when you're shooting at a unit, that unit becomes disordered. Even in the subsequent rolls for morale, they manage to cancel out and take no casualties. Because a 6 was rolled, the unit is still disordered, and they will remain disordered until the end of the next turn. So basically, when it comes round to the player's turn again, he cannot issue this unit orders. They can't do free orders, and when they come to shoot, they are on -1 penalty for shooting and -1 penalty for combat as well. Also, you'll get a -1 penalty for any break test that unit takes. So if you can imagine that unit takes concentrated fire from 3 units, they could become disordered from the first unit. The next couple of units could put enough casualties on it to cause a break test, and they're suffering not only the casualties for the break test, but also the additional -1 from being disordered. So that's basically disordered from shooting. Next time we look at break tests. Okay guys, so we're going to look at break tests. Now, each unit on the battlefield will have a stamina value. Now, most units have a stamina value of 3. This is how many casualties as such that the unit can take before it becomes shaken. Once it becomes shaken, any excess casualties above that figure will force a break test. So to make life easier, I'm going to start off by putting 3 pins on each unit. So each unit is now got the same number of casualties as the stamina value, so the units are shaken. Basically what that means is, because they're shaken, they have a negative modifier to their shooting, to the hand-to-hand, etc. So what we'll do is, this unit's going to shoot, which will shoot with 3 dice. Actually, what I'll do is, I'll roll 2 dice, and whatever side gets the highest number are going to go first. So, oh, and it's the blues. conveniently. So I roll 3 dice. Now normally they would need 3s to hit the target, but because they are shaken, because they've got casualties equal to the stamina value, it's in the -1, so they actually need 4s. So I'm going to roll these 3 dice. So you've got 1 5, so they've inflicted a casualty on the unit. Then I'll roll the dice and got a 4, so they didn't cancel it. That unit takes an extra casualty. Now they're at 4 casualties, so that has now forced a break test on that unit. So because these are now going to take a break test, what they have to do, you have to roll 2 dice and you have to subtract 1 for each casualty above the stamina value. So roll 2 dice and we score 11. Subtract 1 brings it down to 10. Now there's a chart in the rulebook which I will consult, and 7 or more, the unit holds its ground, it stays where it is and does not move. So once the break test has been resolved, the excess casualty is then removed and the unit can carry on. So their turn to shoot. Again, 3 dice, and this time they get 2. So now these are going to try and roll 2 dice to try and counteract them, and you get a 5. So they stop one of them. So they've inflicted another casualty on this. So now these got to make a break test. So again, 2 dice. Ooh, 6 -1 for the excess casualty. That takes it down to 5. And in the book, 5, it says, infantry and cavalry, the unit retires 1 full move to its rear without changing formation and at all times avoiding contact with the enemy. Once it has moved, the unit becomes disordered if it is not already so. So the unit makes 1 full move to its rear. And again, the excess pin is then removed. But what I'll do is I'll just move it back slightly so it's still in shot of the camera. What I'll do is I'll turn that over to say that that unit is now disordered. Okay guys, so that's the basic break test mechanic. You see, they were lucky and nothing happened, they held the ground. This unit was not so lucky and actually would retire 1 full length to its rear and became disordered. If you roll a 4 or less, the unit's gone from the game. Now guys, this week we're going to look at hand-to-hand fighting. Now, to initiate hand-to-hand fighting, when you do your orders, you have to declare a charge. Now, if you're close, you can say they're going to charge. But it can be equally done if you're feeling lucky and you're 3 moves away from the enemy unit. And if you remember in the orders phase, you can declare up to 3 orders, but then you have to make a roll for the unit to perform those 3 orders. Now, if you roll and subsequently your unit doesn't get into hand-to-hand combat because you only rolled 2 and you needed 3 for the charge, then you could be left yourself on the receiving end of the charge. So charges can be done at a greater distance, but realistically a wise general would wait till he got reasonably close before he decide, I'm going to charge them. And also gives you the opportunity to put fire into them and hopefully had pins. Now, not all troops are able to actually charge into hand to hand. If you're in march column or if the unit's shaken, you can't charge. Also, artillery can't charge, and if you're in a square, you can't charge either, because a square is basically just a defensive formation. So, this unit, I'll do like I did last week. Who's going to charge first? I rolled 2 3s. Let's try again. So, it's red's going to charge first this time. You're free to measure range at any time. The range is 8 centimeters. Now, when you're declaring a charge, you actually measure your range from the commander, roughly the center of the unit, to the closest point. So there, or if, say they were like that, he would still measure from him to the closest point, like so. So he would charge. Now it doesn't work. When you charge, you don't actually charge forward here. You charge, so they would charge like so. So they butt up against them. Right. So how do you do the charge? As I've already done, you measure the range from your commander or the center of your unit, where if you haven't got a command figure, your command is assumed to be the center of your unit. So it's always roughly from the center to the closest point on the unit you're going to charge. Just for neatness, I'll straighten them up. Charge is actually part of the order phase. So we're going to give the order for these to charge. We assume that the commander is 8 because that's the general command value for most commanders. The charging unit, which is this unit here, would need a 7 or less to make it across. And you get a 7. So they can move straight in to hand. Now, if the distance between the two, I'm working in centimetres here, but at 28 mil you use inches. If you were within 6 inches, then you can get what's called closing fire. The unit that is being charged can actually have a round of shooting at them as they're coming in. Now they've made the charge, we do our attacks. If we look at the stats for the units, we find that line and light infantry have a hand-to-hand value of 6. So that means that they will roll 6 dice in hand-to-hand. So hand-to-hand is a lot more effective than shooting. Now, there is some dice modifiers. So normally you would hit on 4s for hand-to-hand. But because this unit charged, they're actually going to be hitting on 3s because they get +1 to the charge. Now, if they were charging somebody who was shaken or disordered, then they would be at -1 when they strike back, but they're not the normal. So at the moment we're going to roll, and we need 3s, and we get 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. So again, he's got to make 4 saves, and you make 2, so that means they're going to take 2 pins, well, 2 casualties. Now it's still less than the break value of 3, so they're okay, so they can now fight back. So again, they'll fight back with 6 dice, but they don't get the bonus for charging because you didn't charge, so they need 4s. And again, they get 4. So roll again, and you get 2. So these guys now need to roll 2 dice, and they fail them both. So they're on 2 casualties as well. Now I'll swatch over to the other side. So now it's these 10. Now they haven't charged, so they're going to hit with their 6 dice. And they need 4s because there's no bonus because there's no charge. So they got 3 hits. They now need to do the morale saves, 4 pluses, and they got 1. So they took another 2 casualties. Oh, that's not good. Because their stamina value is 3 and the 1 over, they now need to make a break test. Now remember, for every 1 over your stamina value is a -1 on your roll. So they need to roll 2 dice. And they got 5, -1 for the casualty, which leaves them on 4. And a 4 is the unit breaks and is deemed destroyed. Remove the entire unit from the field. Right, so that assault didn't go very well for them because they were destroyed. So that's it for basic hand to hand. As I said, it's always about the basics. If you want to know more, you can always pick up the rule book and have a go yourself and find out all those extra juicy goodies. But there's the basics of hand to hand. Okay guys, today we're going to look at the big guns. Yes, we're going to look at the artillery. Now artillery comes in a variety of flavours. There's battalion guns, horse artillery, foot artillery, siege artillery, rifled, horse, foot and siege artillery, and they all have different ranges, but they all have the same number of attacks as such. Right, so these are smoothbore foot artillery, so their range is 48 inches, but again, because I'm using 15mm figures in this demo, then it's centimetres, so it's 48 centimetres. So about 48 centimetres, if I put it out, it's a good range. It's quite a good distance. Now, artillery guns fire varies with range. So what they call short range, which is up to 6 centimetres. Now, the artillery will fire with 3 dice. At medium range, which is up to half the range of the weapon, so with this being 48, up to 24 centimetres, it will fire with 2 dice. And then up to its maximum range, it fires with 1 dice. So that's the same for all artillery. The distance they fire, depending on how many dice they roll to hit. Now, the reason for the 3 dice on the short range is obviously because they count that as canister range, so they use canister. Now, there is hit modifiers for the artillery. If you shoot at a unit in attack column, then you get +1. So if this unit was in column like that, then the artillery would get +1 modifier to hit. So as with most things, they need to roll a 4 to hit. Now we've already measured this, and they're at medium range. 24 centimeters is medium range. So with a medium range, they are in attack column, so they get +1 to hit. So what they would normally do is they would normally need 4s, but because they're in attack column, they need 3s. So roll 3s, and look at that, 4. So they just put 3 hits on that unit. Now they now have to take a morale check. Now if you're shot at by artillery, there's negative morale modifiers. So if you're hit by artillery at long range, then there's a -1 to your morale. If you're hit by artillery at medium or short range, then there's -2 to your morale. So now their morale is 4, -2. That means that on these 3 dice, because you've got 3 hits against them, you need to roll 6s for all 3 of them. So, and you got none. So they immediately took 3 casualties, which means that the shaking. So cannon fire is very effective against most units. So because they've took 3 casualties, they have to do a break test. Now the rules for artillery are, if you have to do a break test and you suffer at least 1 casualty from artillery, then you're at -1. We roll 2 dice. I've seen this before. If it's a 4, well, so it's 8, so it's -1. So that gives them a 7. So a 7. The unit holds its ground, stays where it is, and does not move. They have the effect of artillery. So as you can see, quite powerful. The closer you get to them, the more dangerous they become. Okay guys, this week we're discussing cavalry. Ta-da! Cavalry unit. The big difference is obviously they can move faster. They can move 18 rather than 12 that the infantry can move, which means in theory they can move 54 centimeters in one turn if you get 3 orders off. Now that's not very likely. The reason why I say that is the game that we did last week, on last week's Warlord Wednesday, neither of us got off more than 2 orders in a turn. It was really difficult to roll to get off more than 1 or 2 orders at a time. So it was easy just to issue 1 order, move and shoot. If you issued at 3, you just moved once and then you were stuck out in the open and got shot to bits. So anyway, the big thing about these is they don't have a shooting ability, so they can't shoot. They are basically a hand-to-hand unit. Now I'll give you an example. When the normal infantry units fighting hand-to-hand, they roll 6 dice. These cuirassiers roll 10 dice. So they hit hard. They also have a lot of them have an ability called counter charge, whereas if they are charged, they charge back. So an example is, turn these round like so. This unit's going to charge these. This unit's got counter charge. So instead of these moving the full distance, they move halfway, these move halfway, and you fight in the middle, and you both get benefit of charging. So as you can imagine, because they've not got a shooting ability, you need to get them in close. Now when they charge infantry, a lot of infantry have a rule called form square. If a unit has form square, then once the cavalry get close, the unit automatically changes into a square form, which means that the cavalry then cannot charge a unit in square, so they have to divert and go off somewhere else. They cannot charge that unit. The advantage to that is, once a unit is in square, it is susceptible to artillery fire, and it also is less effective when it shoots itself. That tactic you could use. You could charge a unit you don't like the look of with your cavalry. They then form square. You've still got movement left, so you move off somewhere else. Then in your shooting phase, you use your artillery to pound the infantry in square and squash them flat. That's about it for cavalry, really. They've got no shooting ability. They're all hand to hand, and they are very good at it. You still here? Me actually sat through all that. You must be mad. As soon as you sat through all that, next week I'm going to start covering campaigns, different types of campaigns, and how to run them. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.